You're getting divorced, you know, fingers crossed, you don't know how to do it. No. You don't know how to get divorced because hopefully you'll have never done it before.
So what you see, the problem with it all is if it isn't amicable. I mean, I don't know many couples that get to that edge that are happy enough and content enough to say, well, we'll still be friends, so let's sit in this room. Let's discuss it, shall we? What would you like? What would you like? I don't know many people. I know what I'd be like.
But that's why you've got the mediator there, because before you can actually go at each other's throats, they will go, well, hold on a minute,
yeah,
what do you want to say?
How do you actually get in that room to start with?
Why I think it's a good idea is because in industrial disputes we have something called ACAS, which manages to get people who can't even bear to be in the same room together to eventually, they start off in separate rooms and they work down the corridor, and eventually they do manage to sit around a table together and hammer out resolutions to some of the most tricky industrial disputes, you know, in this country. If you apply those principles to a divorce, it could be a really good thing.
Maybe I need ACAS, John.
You need ACAS. You need to be in a separate room, inching down that corridor
for the next 25 years.
Finally in the room, you need a screen so you can't see each other. But I can see the sense
like that,
here.
screwing up bits of paper.
Yeah. it does sound a pretty sensible idea because, as Colleen has said, the huge cost involved in a divorce, when everybody wants to have the final say, will run into thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. Yeah. And lawyers are running up these huge bills because it's in their interest to prolong the misery.
Well, they don't want it to stop, do they?
They kept delaying ours. My divorce took about 3.5 years from start to finish.
You see, I don't understand. Why would a divorce take 3.5 years?
Because they kept delaying it, and then if he didn't sign the papers on time, they'd have to put out more papers, and then they'd have to find him if he was on the tour, and that cost you money. You know, and it was them. In the end, we both sat down and said, actually, who's making money here?
But with this mediator, does that mean that that is it? You go in the room, you decide, and that is the end of it, so you don't have all those letters?
What they're saying is that if you can hammer out some kind of deal between the two of you, then that deal in itself can then be taken to the judge, and then it's ruled on. Yeah, exactly.
So
it saves all the back and forth.
So it is a good idea.
What do you think of the idea, anyway, of some kind of mediation? Because I know when I was going through my divorce, we actually went for counselling, and for my part, it was to help us get to a point where we could understand why we were splitting up. I know a lot of people go and see a counsellor maybe to try and stay together, but I think it can be just as useful at certain times for you to reach a place where you realise that this is why it hasn't worked.
I tried with a disastrous marriage to the younger man I married in the middle of the night in Las Vegas. I thought, well, it's not working. It's not working. Right, so I go to a counsellor to see why it's not working. He went, I went, and then we were supposed to go together to talk it through. And when I rang the doorbell and entered the room, he ran down the corridor and locked himself in the toilet. And he said, if that bitch is here, I'm not coming out. So, you know, that was it. That was the end of my marriage.
And that was the mediator.
Apologies for the language.
Well, although I'm sure you've been called far worse.
Yeah.
OK.